There's a chair by the door. No one moves it, not even me. Every Thursday after work, I'd hang my coat on the same old hook. Order I keep the change, listen more than I spoke. The men around that table could fix a truck with baling wire, cold old ball games from memory, laugh like tomorrow wasn't promised. Most of them are gone now. Funny, the room got quieter long before my hearing did. Pull up that chair, stay a while. The night gets shorter when stories breathe. Pull up that chair, there's room for one more. The bartender's son runs the place today. He calls me sir, I still catch myself waiting to hear his father's voice. The jukebox leans a little farther, the floor still creaks near the window. Even the silence has grown older with me. Some memories don't hurt anymore, they simply sit beside you like old friends who've stopped asking questions. Pull up that chair, stay a while. The night gets shorter when stories breathe. Pull up that chair, there's room for one more. Age doesn't steal a man's strength, it teaches him where not to waste it. The years took faces, they never took the lessons. Pull out that chair, one more song. The lights are low, the fire is warm. Pull up that chair before the morning comes. I'll leave $1 on the bar, not because I have to, because some places deserve to know they were never forgotten. watch in my drawer. It quit ticking years ago. Funny thing is, it still keeps perfect time. My old man bought it after 6 months of overtime. Said a good watch won't make you rich, but it'll remind you not to waste a day. I wore it through factory shifts, Saturday ball games, my wedding, and the day we buried him. Never once did it ask for anything. The older I get, the more I understand why he fixed things instead of replacing them. Some things last if you let them. Not because they're perfect, because they're true. Some things last long after we don't. The crystal scratched, the leather's cracked, the hand stopped somewhere around 3:15. I never had it repaired, not because I couldn't, 'cause that's the hour my grandson first wrapped his tiny hand around my finger. Why would I ask time to forget that moment? Some things last if you let them. Not because they're perfect, because they're true. Some things last long after we don't. You'd never trade. That's a different kind of wealth. Some things last in quiet rooms, old guitars, worn out boots, faithful friends and honest work. Some things last. That's enough. That old watch still rests in the top drawer. Every now and then I wind the memory instead of the hands. That booth is still by the window, same cracked leather, same blue light. Just an older man tonight. Joe was tending bar back then. He's long gone now. Some young kid pours the bourbon, like every bottle tells the same story. Mine never did. I ran these streets before the towers changed the skyline, before the old jukebox learned to stay quiet. Funny how a place remembers long after people forget. Leave the light on, that's enough. Some stories don't need telling. Leave the light on, I'll find my way. There's a scratch on this old guitar from a Friday back in '82. Never fixed it. Some things earn the right to stay broken. The waitress used to know my name without looking at the check. Now she belongs to somebody else's memories. That's how time works. Leave the light on, that's enough. Some stories don't need telling. Leave the light on, I'll find my way. Then one quiet evening, you realize nothing was ever yours except the miles you walked and the promises you kept. Leave the light on one last time. The night's still young for an old soul. Leave the light on, I'll close the door. The bourbon stayed, the song remained, and somewhere an old blues guitar still remembers my hands. There's a payphone behind Miller's Diner. It hasn't room in years. just enough to tell your wife you'd be home late, or tell your father the truck finally started. Nobody wasted words. Every second cost something. Maybe that's why they meant more. These days we talk all afternoon and somehow say less. One more call, that's all. Say what matters, leave the rest. One more call before the line goes still. I stopped there last winter. The receiver was gone. The cord hung loose like an old sleeve without an arm. I stood there anyway, remembering the night my boy called from college just to say, Dad, I made it. I've heard bigger news, none better. One more call, that's all. Say what matters, leave the rest. One more call before the line goes still. Conversations rarely lasted long. A few honest words, a quiet goodbye, a voice you never expected to miss. One more call, take your time. The ones you love can't read your mind. One more call while they can hear. That old payphone never worked again, but every time I pass I still reach for a quarter that isn't there.